married and I didn't want to get married, but I was given an ultimatum by my parents
Why you
after
got
they
married?
unenrolled me from college.
Why you got
Like,
married? Like,
uh,
were you in love, or like just because your age, or you were in, like,
I felt like it was
because of
arranged.
pressure?
My parents picked who I married. When you asked, was I bullied? It wasn't by my peers. It was usually adults in my life that were bullying me.
Oh.
And I had a severe people pleasing for survival type situation.
Okay.
I didn't pick my wedding gown. I didn't pick my bridesmaids. And my dad leaned in once everyone had kind of left the area waiting for me to, get my introduction to go up and walk down the aisle. He said, if you leave, you run out and you get in that limo and leave right now, I won't be mad at you. And I was physically scared and turned to him and said, if I do, she will kill both of us. To put it in better perspective, the night before my wedding, I didn't have a bachelorette party. I was 20 years of age. That I started out as donating my artwork to help
Mm-hmm.
raise money for their scholarship. And the
Okay.
scholarship is for African American children or African American adults to go to college, the Art Institute. So, and art is big in my life because that was a source of creativity that allowed my inner child to just be free.
Mm.
Actually, got involved with the African American Culture Club in Kansas City. I've been involved with other nonprofits, mainly as a consultant. There was one other that I helped from the ground up and actually helped pay into getting the 50c3. It was Comedians Against Bullies. And that was where we were going to elementary schools, teaching young children how to deflect and discourage bullying. I enjoy helping people. I do more consultation now than I did ever.
So,
Um,
how you got started? Do you remember the day one you started, as an artist? You are now a stand-up comedian. You perform, you do a lot of things related to art, related to NGOs. You took a step of stepping out and taking care of people. That's very brilliant and smart and brave thing to do when you go through all those stuff. But do you remember the day one of you as an artist? That moment you decided to, yeah, I'm going to do this, and this is the one thing I love. Can you share about it?
sure, I got into comedy by accident. I had recently gone through a divorce from my ex-husband, and one of his associates was curious as to what was going on in our relationship as to why we were divorcing. And
Okay.
I finally like broke down and told him about it. And after I told him all the problems that had occurred during our marriage, I look up and I realize he is in tears, but not of sadness. He is cracking up, and he apologizes profusely to me,
Okay.
stating it's not what I said, it's how I said it.
Okay.
Um, I died a little on the inside, but he found it hilarious. Thereafter, he invited me to a social event, and I wasn't aware of the crowd in which he was inviting me to, but it was full of promoters and shot callers, basically.
Okay.
So I attend after he asked me, and I made him promise he wasn't going to just leave me over in a corner with a bunch of people I didn't know. And he said he wasn't going to do that, and that's exactly what he did. My personality is as a defense mechanism, I tell jokes.
Okay.
So that's how I got into comedy. The people were cracking up laughing. It became a bet. One of the promoters said, I bet you can't do that on stage.
Okay.
And I said, put your money where your mouth is. So that's how I ended up in comedy. And the story I told once I got on stage, not knowing how to prepare for that role, was the fact that I was working downtown in corporate America. I had a Ralph Lauren suit on with stiletto heels.
Okay.
When working downtown,
Mm-hmm.
you can't carry a purse per se because it's not that, safe. So I had a 30-pound book bag on with this suit and stilettos. I
Oh.
slipped on some gravel and fell face face I face planted into the dirt. Um, People thought that I had been hit by a car.
Oh.
No, I just had a concussion because the book bag came down on the back of my head.
Okay.
When I came to, the firefighters were, working on me, and I thought I was looking cute, not realizing I had gravel all over my face. So I tried to wink slowly with one
Oh
eye,
shit.
and I told that story on stage. It was a great success.
Awesome. Awesome. I can imagine now. I can imagine completely.
The two comedians that I opened up for was Brother Man and Coco Brown. So Brother Man off
Okay.
of Martin Lawrence TV show,
Mm-hmm.
and Coco Brown, who works heavily with what is his name? Oh, I can't think of it right now. Well, both of those artists afterwards, they asked me how long I had been doing
Mm-hmm.
comedy, and I was
Mm-hmm.
truthful. I said 15 minutes.
Awesome.
They laughed and they said, "You're a natural, stick with it." And they kind of guided my career in the very beginning stages.
Got it.
Mm.
It's
That's how I got into comedy.
awesome. Can we put it into dark comedy or something? Like when the life is completely like shattered up, and then you use that as a source to putting things into places and people bursting up laughing. So how now we are going to talk more on it. Just hold on. Just hold on. Now, thank you for telling me all these things.
You're welcome.
Okay. So here's another thing I'd like to know is you told me about your divorce and the whole thing. That's really terrible thing to happen. But can you take us back to your childhood days? How were you as a kid? How were you as a kid growing up in school days? Then in a teenage, were you studious? What was your family situation? You lack in financial incomes and all. What was it? Tell me about your childhood phase.
My childhood was very different from most. I grew up in a two-parent household, middle class family. Was very outgoing.
Mm-hmm.
But from the outside looking in, it was perfect. Having lived through it, it wasn't perfect. Um, I I was in a lot of sports, a lot of activities. I was with the National Honor Society.
Okay.
Um, I did it all. I traveled performing. I had been dancing traditional ballet since age 2.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from Purcell Academy of Fine and Performing Arts.
Mm-hmm.
Dance major, a minor in theater and visual arts. So my creativity was able to be expressed. I
Right.
was an AKA debutante.
Okay.
Um, so I did a lot. I had a lot of fun, but at the same time, I realized everything wasn't roses. Mainly
Got it.
because, like, I remember my first job that didn't include babysitting. Um, when I told my parents I was going to get a job, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't want me to get one. And I was
Okay.
told that if you get a job, we're not going to assist you in picking you up and dropping you off. And
Oh.
me being a teenager that I am, I'm one of those people, I'll figure out a problem
Mm-hmm.
and get the resolution. So I ended up going to a job interview with the guy that I was talking to at the time. You know how you have those crushes that you're interested in, so you're hanging out with them. And
Yeah.
he had a job interview, and he asked me to come along with him for
Awesome.
good luck. I came along with him. He did get his job, but I ended up getting hired on making more money than him.
Oh,
So that ended our relationship
oh
because that
shit.
was a big
Oh
strike to
shit.
his ego.
Oh no, no, no. Okay.
Yeah, he was hurt. Not only did I get hired on at his job, but I was making more money than him and I had a heck of a lot more hours than him. So
Wow.
that
You
killed
use
that
this set in
friendship.
your stand up? Have you used this set in your stand up?
I've never talked about my family or my childhood. The only person I
Okay.
have talked about was my ex-husband, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't in a bad way, even though we are mortal enemies.
Oh, okay, 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 got it. Uh, so
Um,
now tell me about how are you? Now I'm talking about mentally prepared, you mental health related thing. How was your mental like situation as a student, as a kid? Were you bullied, or were you bullying people, or were you like very athletic, playing, singing, athletic, or as I heard, you're more artistic. But how were you as a kid? Like you were crying all the time, or you backing yourself up, pulling yourself up? Uh, like no, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got it. How were you as a kid in the school period? That is very like constructive phase of any kid as an artist. So that particular phase really matters to next 20, 30 years. So tell me about it as a kid.
okay. As a kid, to go back to that story, what I brought up about having my first job and my parents not wanting me to have it and saying they weren't going to support me in that, and how
Mm-hmm.
I did get the job.
Yeah.
Um, worked open to close because it was at an amusement park, a local amusement park. So
Mm-hmm.
summer job, I came in and I worked literally 7 days a week, open
Okay.
to close. because I prefer to be there versus at home.
Mm,
And to put it in perspective, my mental, I was very gullible and sheltered. I was
okay.
very trusting, a little too trusting. My
Mm,
checks, even though I had an account that was a Johnny Appleseed at a credit union, my mother and father would take me to go have my physical payday check. And they told me to deposit into my account. I had to sign it over to them, pay to the order of.
okay.
And
Okay.
I thought that was literally how you cashed your checks. I
Oh,
wasn't allowed to spend any of my money. They told the entire family that they purchased my high school stuff,
mhm.
like my class ring, my letterman, and my yearbook, my senior book, stuff like that. And I'm starting to reflect back as an
Mm.
adult to think that came out of the money that I was signing over to them
Oh,
instead of them depositing into my savings account with the credit union. Um,
that must have been tough.
heck, I grew up. I got married and I didn't want to get married, but I was given an ultimatum by my parents
Why you
after
got
they
married?
unenrolled me from college.
Why you got
Like,
married? Like,
uh,
were you in love, or like just because your age, or you were in, like,
I felt like it was
because of
arranged.
pressure?
My parents picked who I married.
This
Um,
happened in US?
yes, and I'm
Oh,
African American. This is why I say my upbringing and my life story is not
like
typical of
normal.
most people.
Mm,
Right.
okay, got it.
You would have thought it was a movie, the way things happen,
No, no, no. I
homecoming,
don't.
all of that.
For
Right.
me, like, look, talking to people from US, like I'm doing it from last 2 years. Okay, so I am collaborating with artists from last 2 years, around 200, 250 to 300 artists I've been collaborating. That's why I know the culture. You talking like your parents choosing, that was kind of because that's something that happens in India, the arranged marriage situation. This is something that I've heard for the first time. That's why I talk, because talking to people from United States and Texas, LA, California is very normal for me at this moment, because I'm doing this show. That's how we connected, because that's how Shavin told you about me. But this is like, I go, okay, this kind of thing happens in India, the arranged marriage situation. For you, that's why I got surprised. You kind of have
Right.
high school, like, crushes, then you get married, or you choose people, date people, then you get married. And that's how the culture in US is. That's why I got surprised. But okay, got it.
I
You
was
told me,
very
yeah, yeah, go on,
obedient.
go on.
No, I was very obedient. And so when you ask my mental,
Mm-hmm,
um, I didn't see what was done to me as a child from my parents
mm-hmm.
and the other adults in my life. When you asked, was I bullied? It wasn't by my peers. It was usually adults in my life that were bullying me.
Oh,
And I had a severe people pleasing for survival type situation.
mm-hmm.
Even with my now ex spouse,
Okay,
he was besties with my mother. This man tried to kill me, and he was best friends with my mother. He was also 8 years older than me.
okay,
My parents knew his age.
okay.
I didn't pick my wedding gown. I didn't pick my bridesmaids. I actually showed up at my wedding on my wedding day, and in the basement of the church with my father was playing air basketball and Tetris. And my dad leaned in once everyone had kind of left the area, waiting for me to, get my introduction to go up and walk down the aisle. He said, if you leave, you run out and you get in that limo and leave right now, I won't be mad at you. And I was physically scared and turned to him and said, if I do, she will kill both of us. I felt like my mother would have killed me and my father. To put it in better perspective, the night before my wedding, I didn't have a bachelorette party. I was 20 years of age. I had 12 bridesmaids, a maid of honor, four, um, no, I had two ring bearers,
Okay,
two flower girls,
okay.
and nobody took me out. I ended up babysitting all of the teenagers, my younger siblings, and taking them to the mall.
Mm, okay. Okay,
So
that's really
I
terrible
had a
to
lot of
hear.
trauma.
Yeah, yep. Got it, got it. So you started your comedy career after surviving domestic violence. How has comedy helped you heal and overcome that difficult period in your life? So domestic violence is the one thing that I also take a stand on. I'm associated with Anna's House Shelter. It's also in Texas, run by Eva Miles. So this is something that I'm also taking a step on from last 2 years. But tell me about like that period and how comedy is the one thing that is healing that phase.
It gave me the opportunity to bring joy to other people, the joy that I was lacking in my own personal life at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because people would look at me and they'd be like, well, you have both your parents. You grew up, you knew your father. You
Yeah.
had a male figure in your home. I had a lot of uncles and pawpaws.
Okay.
Like I literally come from a family that had more men for the longest until they started dying off due to age, you know. So I grew up with the male counterpart, so I didn't fit the cookie cutter mold of
Okay.
someone getting up on stage with daddy issues, talking about their life in a joking format. More so, I got up on stage and I talked about me harassing my ex-husband during our marriage. um, I started out in doing Christian comedy, but they didn't pay. Secular didn't pay as much as non-secular. So
Mm-hmm.
I switched over and started doing more of the raunchier jokes,
Okay.
and gaining more traction in my career. But it gave me an outlet and it made me feel free. When I traveled, it gave me that freedom from feeling like I was trapped.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Oh no, so okay. First of all, thank you for sharing. Even imagining that phase, that healing phase, that's also, imagining that particular phase, that's also tough for you. You came, you survived from it, you survived that. I can imagine, completely imagine. This kind of thing is continuously. I'm also involved in meeting those people, like same people going through homelessness or going through domestic violence. I can imagine that. And that's why I asked, like, okay, you're using comedy to heal it up, to make a joke, make a fun that will put it into, lighter part. That will.
So my career in my funniness, people assumed one thing when it was really another in all aspects. I even brought my children with me when I would do stage gospel stage plays. I'd get cast
Mm-hmm.
for these gospel stage plays. And what was funny is my children learned how to read by helping me learn my lines. They play the other characters in the plays. And they'd be right there. Those were my biggest supporters. Without my children, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I would have been able to sustain and keep moving the way I did.
So, what inspired you to become a board member of KCAACC and got involved with non-profit organizations in your community? Being part of NGOs, the inspiration behind it. What was it like? Was it the domestic violence or anything else struck you?
It was the fact that I started out as donating my artwork to help
Mm-hmm.
raise money for their scholarship. And the
Okay.
scholarship is for African American children or African American adults to go to college, the Art Institute. So, and art is big in my life because that was a source of creativity that allowed my inner child to just be free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I initiated, um, actually got involved with the African American Culture Club in Kansas City. I've been involved with other nonprofits, mainly as a consultant. There was one other that I helped from the ground up, actually helped pay into getting the 50C3. It was Comedians Against Bullies. And that was where we were going to elementary schools, teaching young children how to deflect and discourage bullying, how to handle it, and then take the power away from bullies by showing them that if their opinion from that person doesn't matter to them, then it doesn't hurt. It doesn't bother them as much as they would allow had they not known that information ahead of time. They would have been like, oh no, they don't want to be my friend. And oh, it's the end of kindergarten and it's the end of first grade. And we're like, do you even like them? No.
Yeah.
So does it matter if you're their friend?
Mm-hmm.
No. I said,
Got it.
so I think the oldest children we worked with was like, I think sixth or seventh grade, helping
Okay.
them
Mm-hmm.
figure that out. But I enjoy helping people. I do more consultation now than I did ever, and have ever done. People will ask me the most random stuff, and I don't know where I'm pulling it from, but I know the answers.
Okay.
And then I asked them, like, why do you trust me? They said, I don't know. I
Mm.
just felt like you would know the answer, and you did. So I
Yeah.
went with my gut. And I'm like, okay.
Awesome. 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 Thank you for sharing. Tell me about the parenting thing. How's the experience and how's your experience of being with kids, being a parent? How you?
I absolutely adore my children and I mush on them daily if I can.
Okay.
And they're adults now, but I still mush on them and kiss on them and love on them. And it's like they're used to me because they're just like, if I get it out the way, mwah, she'll just go on and bounce and
Okay.
like,
How old
okay,
are they? How old are they?
they're 19, 20, and 21. They're anniversary gifts that keep on giving long after the divorce papers are signed.
Okay. Wow. Oh,
They
oh,
literally are anniversary gifts. If you understand, we celebrated the exact same way for 3 years in our marriage and ended up with all three of them having the same due date.
okay.
So, yeah. I didn't realize it also with my parenting due to the way I was brought up. I chose a different way of raising my children.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware there was a name for it until recently, and it's called gentle parenting. My children actually can count on one hand how many times I had physically disciplined them. And they were like, but we needed that because like we knew we messed up
Oh
when we
yeah.
did
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay.
It took a lot to upset me and it took a lot for me to have to like want to put my hands on you because I have a rule. I
Hmm.
don't discipline when I'm angry or emotional. I wait
Okay.
until I've had an opportunity to calm down and
Do the right
assess
thing
it.
at the
And
right
then I
time.
talk to them the way I would like to be talked
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. Got. Not using anger as the
Right.
weapon or the thing to just put it out and throw it out on your kids. Got it. Okay. Okay. So you love it, and they are like 19,
I
20,
love it.
21, like 1 year after another. Okay. Awesome.
I'm nicknamed Mama Sean because there were other children that, including nieces and nephews, I was lovingly titled that Mama Sean by my nephew. And then there's
Mm,
children in the community that I helped throughout the years that call me Mama Sean. I had even once where it was three children that I didn't even know per se.
mm-hmm.
They had called up their uncle, and their uncle called my sister, and she called me. That's how I got in contact with these three children. And the oldest of the three,
Okay.
she had gotten on the phone. And she said, "Mama Sean, nobody wants us. Can we come stay with you?"
Mm,
So I took in those three. After I asked my children, I said, "Hey, is it okay if we let some other kids come live with us for a little bit?" And they were like, "Sure." I said, "Now you sure?" Because
mhm.
they're gonna be eating your snacks, wearing your clothes, and playing with your toys. And my children was like, "Mega sleepover," and
Oh
they welcomed it.
wow, awesome.
Another child that I ended up bringing in was 13-year-old. Her mother had told her she had to pay for her own feminine products. Now, what can a 13-year-old do legally to pay for feminine products and to cover her own needs? So I allowed the 13-year-old to come stay with
Mm,
me, and I let her update my website, re-up on my merchandise, and I paid her. I also offered for her to babysit my children, even though I never left her alone with them. I still paid her to babysit.
wow.
And then when I took her plus my three plus the other three that I did not know that well, because their parents had gone through a divorce and neither parents wanted the children at the time, I took them all to the movies and paid all the teenagers' ways. Still let them get paid their money for babysitting, even though they didn't
Wow.
babysit, and let them enjoy their childhood. Um, yeah, I've always had a household. I even had like 9 kids living with me in a 2-bedroom apartment at once. And I've never been on government assistance and I wasn't getting
Wow,
any
you
type
do
of
it
help from
all
their
on your
parents.
own.
But they're adults now, and a lot of them still come back and say that was the most happiest moment in their childhood.
Mm,
So I was nicknamed Mama Sean. A lot of neighborhood kids, I would pay them to make sure other kids didn't bully the children I had in my household.
yeah.
And I had it open to where the children could use my Wi-Fi, and I gave them a nice meal without any questions asked. They didn't have to explain to me their situation. I already knew.
God, God. That's really great of you helping out all those kids. Yeah, and now here we come on your name, your artist name. Now here it's like Jenny Hill. Jenna, how you pronounce it? Jenna Hill. Okay, so you have
Well,
another name which is like Sean Hill. I
yes.
introduce you as Sean Hill. I will be introducing you as a Sean Hill. Tell me about what's the thing with artist name?
Okay, so my legal name is LaShonda Janae Hill.
Okay.
My artist name is Sean Hill. And it's something I picked up when I was like 18. People were
Okay.
calling me Sean,
Mm-hmm.
but I spelled it the Irish way, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because when I actually got into comedy, I kept that nickname,
Okay.
but that nickname had me in places where I'd be the only brown person on stage or in the green room. And that's because they thought I was a Caucasian Irishman. Sean Sean Hill
Uh,
Hill. And I was introduced several times at different events as This is the funniest man I've had the opportunity to work with. Put your hands
Oh
together.
shit.
Give it up for comedian Sean Hill.
Yeah.
And then I come out on stage and the
Okay.
audience just stops clapping and it's dead silent because they're trying to figure out if I'm really Sean Hill or if
Okay.
they're just sexually attracted to me. Am I a man or what?
Okay. Oh wow. So this is the same thing happened to me. I know you know by the name Think Media, there's a guy named Sean Cannell, and he has a YouTube channel and he runs all the YouTube business of growing on YouTube and blah blah blah. So he has that Think Media thing. That's where I came to know like SEAN is Sean. Okay. And when I came to know about him, okay, it's Sean, but the woman is talking. What's going down? What's happening? So then, okay, the same thing happened with me. But yeah, it happens with everyone. Okay, I got it about the name. Now, tell me about writing some fiction book. I guess you know. How do these creative outlets help you express yourself in new ways? But firstly, tell me about you are coming up or you're trying to write out, you're exploring fiction writing. So, why and how are you doing it? And how is it helping you to, just like comedy, to heal yourself or to put into some another zone? And how is it helping you to heal or make yourself in the world of artists?
I I enjoy and absolutely love sci-fi.
Okay,
I love science as a child. I love sci-fi movies because the fantasy, the creativity, there are endless wonders. And the way I'm doing this is combining research of actual things or historical with the fantasy aspect and the intangible aspects of when you're doing sci-fi. So that story, it's come along pretty well.
so how
Um,
many pages you did at this moment?
I've done 100 pages so
Oh
far.
God, 100 pages. You
A
get time
hundred
to do this?
pages. I've been working on it for years because I've had to
Yeah,
do
that's why.
character development,
Oh wow,
so
wow.
I have to make it where each individual has their backstory, and then I have to bring it to a point where they all converge on that very moment to which you would pick up in the actual movie versus the book.
God. So, any inspiration behind what inspired you to write this book down?
Literally my life and the weird things that I notice, the patterns that I notice.
Uh,
Um,
Sean and the Weird Things. Let's explore into sci-fi way. Okay, okay, got it. Tell me about your upcoming projects. What are your upcoming projects?
Okay. Well, if I was to gain the finances that are needed, I would like to open up a independent private organization that takes in foster children who have siblings of brown and black children.
Got it.
The reason I say that is because 90% of children in foster care are brown and black, but the homes that they place them in isn't reflective of that. So this will give them the opportunity to stay together if it's healthy, because most of those homes that they're placed in cannot accommodate multiple children at once. The program would encompass children ages 0 months all the way up to 24. It'd be in phases 0 to 16. They're just focusing on just having the most normal childhood possible after being taken out of their homes and stuff. Um, Try to give them the education that they need. By the time they're 16 to 18, that's when we start focusing on what's the next step in life. Are they going into corporate America, continuing their education, if they're going to learn a trade, or if they're going to be entrepreneurs? We'd have it where if they're accepted into our program, by the time they age out of the system, they would actually have a little nest egg that had been saved up for them so that they are able to have something when they get out into the real world, to kind of help start them off with paying bills, getting a car, whatever it is that they need to use that money for. Ages 16 to 24 would be more like a college dorm or college life, where they're figuring out adulting. We
Got it.
teach them financial literacy and everything.
Got it. Got it. So
Okay.
just go with
That's
this
pretty much it.
normal pace. You're going too fast. Thank you for sharing that. And tell me about impact of social media on your life as a career. What kind of things happen, and how are you taking that as?
Okay, as far as social media, I'm more of an old school individual, so it's really been impactful. I've had to learn some new tricks, new ways of marketing myself. gathering a larger following. I still haven't figured out how I was able to convince 21,000 people to follow me on one platform and another 12,000 on a different one. I don't dance and I haven't shimmied to show off anything. So this is still a learning process for me as well. But most people are like, you have to post 2 to 3 times per day or 4 to 5 times per week. And it's not even like that with me. I find that I get a better response when I kind of don't post as frequently because it makes them anticipate or long for my information or entertainment when I do post.
Got it. Any last message as an artist? Use this as a platform you'd like to share with your NGOs and all. So please share last final message where, can kind of sum it up.
My final message would be I realize that I am the adult that I would have loved to have been raised by and interacted with as a child. I would have felt safe and encouraged and empowered. And I charge other adults to go out there and be that individual in other people's lives. They don't have to be minors, they can be adults. Be encouraging, be uplifting. You don't have to turn a blind eye to the negativity that people are putting out into the world, but please don't contribute to it. Add some positivity and love back into the world. Right now, that is what we're really lacking. There's no one with really any empathy nowadays. So I'm asking, just as a favor to me, be love. Show some love. Give people some hugs. These people need hugs out here. They are lacking that human contact since birth. And a
Yeah.
lot of people have been searching for that intimacy. It's not sexual, it's just wanting to feel safe and cared for in a non-threatening way. And I find so many people that I've worked with would come up and just hug me. And I'm
Got
like, yes, mush on me. I smell good. Yes.
Got it, got it. So one more time is like, I just want to tell to everyone who's listening this at this moment, you went through a lot, traumatic childhood, lots of things, like not in a control of who to marry, who not to marry, went to domestic violence, survived, healed yourself, used comedy as a tool to heal yourself, and then you keep on portraying, you keep on doing everything related to comedy, art, you're painting at this moment, you spend 8 to 10 hours of day. And I think this is the plan that God had for you. You went through all this just to be strong, just to be the most powerful and the most caring, and the most uh, like filled with heart, filled with love. And then you are at this moment a mother also. You have 3 kids, and you're taking care of, I don't know how many kids, like 15, 20, 50, 100, via the NGOs. You're taking care of kids with color, fostering in the foster care, and you're looking out for them. So I think this is the best plan that God had for you, taking care of people. And that's your mission, that's your biggest mission at this moment, that whenever it comes to you, by choosing in art and it taking care of people, you chose taking care of people, and that's your real mission. I wish you all the best for whatever you're going to do. Just figure out NFTs, and then you can make a proper business out of your art and the money. And yeah, in coming years, we will see more of your skits, your plays, and your stand-up comedies at the same time. NFTs, people are going to love it, because that's where you can gain more funds for your NGOs that you're running for kids and all. So yeah, your art at this moment, I'm telling you, your art is going to help fund the kids. That's the best possible thing. You just need to figure out who are the right people who you can trust and who can help you to do that. You can figure out the monetary benefits within them according to percentage. But here's the one thing I can see happening is your art is going to figure out your monetary benefits, and that can figure out funds for the kids, for you, and for the family. You just need to figure out who the people are, where you can, share the business, start the business, and that's where things are going to lead you to be established artist. And first thing what you do when you're established artist, buy a laptop. And as fast as you can, just buy a laptop, just buy a light, just buy a mic initially. That's what you do when you sell your first art. Okay, and then thank me after that. Okay. And to
Appreciate you.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for the good advice.
and to everyone who was there, who's going to listen, this happened with me again. We record 30 minutes of the interview, and we did 30 minutes of interview in another session, and I forgot to press record. And the whole energy that we discussed was more better than this one, but yeah, we forgot to record it. We did a 30 minutes of interview, and we did it just by talking to ourselves, and I forgot to record. Yeah, that's my bad. That's not my bad, that's like completely, you missed out the best part of the interview because we forget to record it. because I specifically, I forgot to record it. And now we just redid it again, just putting our best and trying to cheer you up. And to everyone, just go check the show notes. And I am Ajay Thambe, and I'm signing off.